So I pulled in there. I had my gun laying right there beside me. I accessed my account, and I didn't have very much money in there, but what I had was mine. And I got to looking right in front of me, and there's a character with a dog collar on. No shirt, just a dog collar. Silver studded dog collar, 4 inches wide, and walking towards me. I think he was the leader of the bunch. I looked to my left over there, and it was the ugliest fella I'd ever seen in my life. Ugly. U-G-L-Y. He didn't have no alibi. He was ugly. M-A-M-A. How you think he got that way? His mama.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Hayden Alabama Podcast. I'm Philip.
I'm Shane.
I'm Robin.
And I'm Trent.
Well, we're blessed to be here today, and Robin is here back by popular demand.
Multiple requests.
So many people enjoyed Brother Robin and his Plowed Dirt story. And then we're also blessed today to have a fellow creator, Trent Ellis, with us. And I know y'all seen his skits.
If you hadn't, you ain't been on Facebook.
If you hadn't, you need to.
Or TikTok or Instagram or
Any of them.
But just in case this is your first time with us here at the Hayden Alabama Podcast, Brother Robin, we went over there to Mississippi and recorded with also David, who's here in attendance, and told some stories over there close to Philadelphia, Mississippi. And he told one story that people have just fallen in love with, the Plowed Dirt story. We made a T-shirt about it and everything else. And people just kept saying, I got to have more Robin. He needs his own podcast. And we said, well, we think you should too. We think you should come back to be on our podcast first, though, before he starts
before he goes on tour. And
worldwide.
And Mr. Trent's a fellow Mississippian as well, right? And he's from Mississippi there, and so there's a connection here. And we're just bound to have fun today.
We're fixing to have a good time. And let's start it off. I think it's only right that Brother Robin tells our first story for today.
All right. I've always loved to turkey hunt. If I had to give up everything but one thing, I'd hold on to turkey hunting. I love turkey hunt. When I got called to preach, I went down to seminary in Louisiana, in New Orleans, Louisiana, and there ain't no dirt roads down there, and I was out of place. But I finally got a chance to go home, go turkey hunting. I lined up with my wife, and she said, "Go ahead." And I was just going to spend the night in New Orleans and get up real early, about 2 in the morning, and drive up to Mississippi, South Mississippi, and turkey hunt. So I had all my stuff there, and she let me take her car, a Mazda 626. I don't think they make them anymore, but that's a fine little car. I had my turkey stuff on the seat right there. My shells and my vest, they were in my vest pocket, and my gun was laying right there on the seat. And when I came out of seminary, I kind of goosed it a little bit, and the shells went all on the floor. And I know it's illegal. Y'all just forgive me. Statute of limitations run out anyway. I grabbed my bullets and stuck them in the magazine of 8.7. Now, this is a quick gun information tutorial. You can have bullets in a gun, in a magazine, a tubular under magazine, and not be able to shoot the gun. You have to work the action one time. It makes a very distinctive sound. I'm sure y'all can edit in some pump shotgun here.
No, that was
perfect.
That's the sound bite right there.
Anyway, you can have. I stuck the shells in my gun. And I said, I need to learn about ATM. Now, ATMs were very different back then. They would access your account and take your card away, and they may spit it back out at you or may not. It just depends. And so I pulled in there, and I had my gun laying right there beside me. I accessed my account, and I didn't have very much money in there, but what I had was mine. And I got to looking right in front of me, and there's a character with a dog collar on. No shirt, just a dog collar. Silver studded dog collar, 4 inches wide, and walking towards me. I think he was the leader of the bunch. I looked to my left over there, and it was the ugliest fella I'd ever seen in my life. ugly. UGLY. He didn't have no alibi. He was ugly. MAMA. How you think he got that way? His mama. He was ugly. And I looked out there to my right, and there was a fellow with pink and purple hair walking toward me. And the fellow in the bushes over here, in the azalea bushes, he had a diaper on too. And that's all. I ain't sure what he had in mind, but I knew I didn't want no part of it. Well, I accessed my account, and they waited just at the right time, and they all started making a move on me. Well, I grabbed old Trusty Rusty there. Abigail's her name. I pumped that thing. And when that Magnum 870 swallowed that long brass, high velocity, turkey thumping, down a whopping mojo load, and she seated in there, old dog collar went to giving the signal. I think that means stop. But I got my money, and they didn't get none of it. And the moral of that story is there's a difference between decisions and commitments. They made a decision to take my money. I made a commitment to keep it.
That's pretty good right there.
I'm proud you had that Magnum.
Oh, I am too. Ain't no telling what old ugly would have done with me.
I would have been more worried about the man wearing a diaper.
That was ugly.
Oh, that was ugly. He didn't have nothing on but a diaper.
Bad ugly. That was why I called him bad ugly.
Now, were you still in New Orleans at this jump?
Oh yeah, in the worst neighborhood in America. It was the housing project named Desire. Katrina took care of that. I don't know what's down there now. I ain't been back.
A lack of
What
desire.
made you decide to stop there of all the possible ATMs?
Because I just thought of it at that second.
Yeah, there you go. I make a lot of those decisions as well.
I feel like he makes a lot of his decisions in life based off a future story.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I see a dog collar and a diaper. It's going to be a good story.
It's
one of
gonna
these
be a
days. If anybody has a podcast that I can be on, this
Yeah.
right here will be a good one.
I want to know how long did it take the ATM machine to spit your card back out?
It wasn't near fast enough, I tell you that. Because while I had the equipment advantage on them, they had the numbers on me.
Yeah, it had numbers, didn't they?
Unbelievable, man. You just never know the mess you're going to get in.
Not in New Orleans. They spit that card right back out and you got on the road.
Yes, sir. I grabbed my money.
You.
Say that $86 I had left in that account.
He said, I didn't have much money, but what was in there was mine. You didn't aim to give it to nobody else. So
No, I didn't want nobody. I don't want dog collar to have it, that's for sure.
Are you in trouble? Well, we hope you're not. But just in case you are, we know a good lawyer. Whitney Island here in Hayden, Alabama has law services, or maybe if you're not from Hayden, I'm sure she'd be happy to hear from you. So check her out at islandlaw.com. We appreciate Whitney and her sponsoring the show. Well, Trent, what you got? You got any crazy encounters like that in your life?
Good 9/11. Anything that I could share on here? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. We'd call that non-producible.
Yeah, we had the conversation earlier about non-producible content, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did y'all?
Yeah, you were here, right?
Yeah. He blacked out.
I tell you, something funny though. It's everybody asks me, about growing up hunting. They're like, "Are you, did your daddy?" Because everybody's daddy teaches them how to hunt and takes them hunting and everything. And my daddy, he didn't grow up hunting crazy like. He just his growing up hunting experience was his daddy and his buddies getting just obliterated drunk, fighting, all that kind of stuff. And there's normally squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting and everything like that. So
This was passing time.
yeah. So daddy was big into, sports and all that kind of stuff. And he's always been big ever since he was early 20s into the stock market, trading options and all that kind of stuff. So still a very country, old fashioned man, but just when it come to hunting, he just didn't care nothing about it. Well, his brother, Sean, my uncle, he was right the opposite. ever since he killed his first deer at 15 years old, he was bit by the bug, and that's all he wanted to do. Well, Sean got my older brother, or my brother, I say, he's the only one I got. He got Trey into hunting, and Trey got me into hunting. And so they had a little piece of property, my dad and my uncle, in Mantachie, that I think was about 20 acres. And I was probably somewhere 9, 10, 11 year old, about 9 or 10. And Daddy, when he used to take me hunting, a lot of times it would be, me and Trey, Sean may be there, on that little property, and we'd do it maybe twice a year. Daddy would take me maybe twice a year. And every time, that was back when Daddy was smoking. So every time we get in the shoot house, and this is a pretty good place. This is a pretty good place to deer hunt. Well, Daddy'd be up there, he wouldn't have a lick of camouflage on or nothing like that. And he'd have coffee in a styrofoam white cup. And he'd have a pack of best value cigarettes. And he'd be in there and he'd just be a smoking. And I'm just sitting there like 9-year-old. I'm like, Daddy, what are you doing?
Daddy.
Like,
I'm
trying to kill. Oh, son, deer can't smell that. Don't worry about it. Watch that right there. Hey, watch your mouth. Hey, back talk me. Just sitting there smoking and drinking coffee. And when you drink coffee, all right, you're going to have to pee before long.
It's happening.
I remember one time specifically, he got to getting a little, kind of got a little antsy there, and got looking around. He said, I need to pee. I said, Daddy, you can't pee right here by the stand. This is going to run all the deer off. They're going to smell us. Mm-hmm. He's like, you want me to pee outside? I said, no, please don't.
As opposed to inside, I'd do that.
That's what he said. He said, you want me to pee inside? I said, just don't pee at all. Just please hold it, Daddy, please. He's like, I ain't doing that. So he takes the rest of his coffee and pours it out, and he pees in that dadgum coffee cup, or that styrofoam cup. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, Daddy, what are you doing? Like, you peeing? He's like, son, I got to go. I ain't going to pee on myself. You can't say I can't pee outside. Well, he gets done peeing and everything. He sits there, and after about 5 minutes, I'm looking over here, and I hear, shh, and I look over, and Daddy's got that cup out the window, just pouring the whole thing right outside the shoot house right there. And he's like, yeah, son, that just didn't smell right there. I figured I'd go ahead and pour it out.
It smelled like the same thing as coffee.
Every time we hunted, 8:30 comes around. Of course, now we know 8:30. I got deer on camera this morning at 8:30 and 9 o'clock, 9:15. 8:30, man, that's prime time when it's cold now. Every time at 8:30, he'd look over at me and he'd be like, you about ready to go? I'm like, no, Daddy. Like, can we sit here till 10:30? Betty's should be serving hamburgers by then, son. Get up. Let's go. We're going to Betty's,
Yeah.
And then that one time, of course, we do that. Or another time that we do that, my brother texts or calls my dad from my uncle's phone, and or my uncle's house phone or whatever. Because this was before we had cell phones, like iPhones they weren't out yet. And he had shot a good 8-point like at 9:30, and I'm just sitting in there, and so the only time that I've ever killed a deer with my dad in the stand with me was in that stand with my little cousin, and we had about a 40-pound nub buck walk out. And to me, I was like, oh, that's a good doe right there. That's a big doe. And Daddy's like, man, that looks kind of like a dog, son. And I'm like, no, Daddy, can I please shoot it? Can I please shoot it? He's like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. I get out there and I drop that thing, and we get up there, and I'm like, I think I'll need you help dragging, Daddy. He's not a very big man, but he just takes it by the hind legs and throws it over his shoulder. He's like, no, I'll get this one to the truck, son. It's okay.
Yeah, ain't no big deal.
That's the only deer that I've ever killed with my dad's about a 40-pound nub buck. So
that reminds me of a story I've never shared on here.
One I've never shared.
I was in a hunting club with some rough fellas. There was just 3 of us, and we had about 600 acres. pretty close to Mississippi. And we weren't big morning hunters, if you know what I mean. We just had a hard time getting up and going. We were in the early 20s. Well, one more, I drove all the way down. It was 2 hours, 20 minutes door to door. So I said, I'm getting up. I'm going hunting. It was Sunday morning. I got up and I went hunting. And I was hunting this new spot, a hardwood knob that just looked down off in the hardwood bottom, and the bedding area was on the other side. Well, I was sitting there and it was about 8 o'clock. I was freezing cold too. Here come these two does walking right along the edge of the bedding area in that hardwood. Well, there was just two of them. I said, hey, it's a good looking doe right there. I said, I'm going to go ahead and smoke me one of these. They came around. I laid it down immediately. The other one ran off, got down to my tree stand. I walked down there, and the closer I got, the smaller that deer got. And the smaller that got. And I was just praying it didn't have spots on it by the time I got up to it. And I did the same thing that your dad did. I just reached down, picked it up, threw it over my shoulder, and walked it out. And the whole time I'm walking out, I'm thinking, I hope they're not awake. I hope they're not awake. Because I wasn't going to leave it. I wasn't going to waste the deer, especially those good tenderloins. They're good and soft,
Biscuits.
Yeah, good biscuits. I went back and they were not awake. I had that deer skinned in about 6 minutes, guts taken off and everything. And I walked back in the house.
Standing on his hind legs, yeah.
And they had just got up and they said, hey, man, how'd you do this morning? I didn't see anything.
Didn't see nothing. Don't you worry about me.
Don't you worry, and don't look in the cooler. But yeah,
I'll tell you a story that's the opposite of ground shrinkage.
Oh,
Is ground enlargement. Me and my father-in-law, Grunt, went deer hunting one evening. And years ago, there weren't any of these Canadian geese around. Every now and then you'd see a big V of geese. And by the way, you know how geese fly in a V?
Mm-hmm.
You know how one side is longer than the other one?
Mm-hmm.
You know why that is? It's got more geese on it.
makes sense. I was looking for
That's
a deeper meaning there.
Terrible. I don't care what you say.
He's all gonna get
I had to answer, but I knew you had Philip.
I'm like, it's coming, baby.
But anyway, we went deer hunting one evening. This was probably nearly 40 years ago, and there weren't no geese around here. Every now and then you'd see a big V of them flying over about a little above the jet. And but that evening, a big V of geese flew over us about treetop level high. Next day, we were sitting out there with our turkey gun. That old shotgun I was talking about a while ago. And Grunt hit the lead goose. And instead of folding up and helicoptering down like I wish it would have, it took an angle. And about 7 properties over, that thing hit the ground. I was trying to run. I was young then, running. I was running through thicket and cut over and re-brakes and sloughs and everything else. I got to one, and old Grunt said, here, get that thing. I'd heat rather get caught killing some people in the Neshoba County than that thing. He said, they'll come in your house looking for parts of that thing.
Looking for parts of that goose.
And we went home, and we picked the thing. It covered 5 acres of feathers. We come out with a black piece of meat about the size of your 2 fists, and that was the breast. Now, my mother-in-law, Brenda, I call her D. Everybody calls her D now. And she's the best cook I know of. She can cook.
We can testify. She's a good cook.
Yeah. And she boiled on that thing. She boiled on it. She put bacon in it. She put bell pepper in it. She put onion in it. She boiled on it some more. She boiled on it. And she was so excited about cooking a goose. And she handed a piece to my father-in-law, Larry. We call him Grunt. And he got that thing. He looked like a catfish on a limb hook. He was... And he said, Brander, they say that a goose can live to be 41. This nigga got to be 38 or 39.
Got to be.
We ain't killed no more geese.
No.
They ain't worth it.
No, they're a whole lot more trouble than they're worth.
Oh man,
Most people must not kill them because they
They have
you can
multiplied
find
now.
them, buddy. You can find
And
them.
you talking about full of, they are.
Yeah, they'll ruin a property.
Yeah.
A pond around a pond, you can tell they've been there.
Yeah.
I've always
They leave their little evidences everywhere.
Evident, yeah.
I've always wanted to go on those snow goose hunts, you know, to where it's just like no bag limit, no, just all the shells you want. Don't put a plug in your gun. And
You can do that anyway. It's just against the law down here.
Well, that's that is true. You know, you can't film none of it. You know, that's
You can
for
film it, just don't show it to nobody.
That's right.
sure. Nobody that you don't trust, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting more and more hints that Mr. Robin is just a little bit of an outlaw.
I'm telling you, we gonna ride and look at some fields here in a minute.
What did he
Look.
What did he say earlier when he entered? You said, "Hey, I can't believe you hanging around with this fella and that fella's name." And he said, "Oh yeah, I'll tell you one thing about that man.
Yeah, he'll
He'll break
the
a law."
And then he proceeded to tell me 3 other stories that could have been questionable.
About law breaking.
yeah. But how he'd get on the White House lawn for 2 or 3 times. On
That's
there.
what he said.
He gobbled 3 times. I used to go to him.
If he had
It
gobbled
didn't
3
matter
times.
where he's at.
Robin, here's what I want you to do. I want you to tell the story you just told us about the turkey gobbling and you a preaching. Can you tell that one?
Oh, yeah. I was preaching one Easter Sunday morning on sunrise service. We had it outside, watched the sun come up. And I hit it kind of hard one lick, about fine gobbling time. I said, Jesus is alive. And he gobbled right off over there. And I made like I didn't hear him the first time. But 2 or 3 other boys kind of perked up in the back. I saw them. I hit it just to try it one more time. I said, he's alive, I said. Them old rednecks were sitting back there, their feet were scrubbing, they was moving around in their chairs. They was ready to put an amen to that thing.
You got the most amens you ever had at a sermon that morning, didn't you?
Yeah.
Everybody's wanting to hear that turkey gobble.
Now, that was a sunrise service outside.
Yeah.
Early morning,
Yeah.
right there at daybreak. Those are good. Sometimes real cold. Depending on what year it is.
just in time for them turkeys to be heated up.
That's right. Well, I got one. This is pretty old. Okay, so I know I'm good there.
You're good on the
All
limitations.
Yeah,
Statute
I'm
limitations.
good on
We
the
always talk about
statute
that.
limitations. So it doesn't have to be a my buddy story.
There you
My
go.
buddy did this, or I know a guy. Yeah. No. So there was a property that we used to have access to hunt, and it never fails. The neighbor's property's always got the better deer.
Mm-hmm.
Or they always come out right there on the line. You know
Grass
what I'm
is greener
saying?
over there.
That's right. That's right. If
Turkeys
you-
always gobbled on the backside of a posted sign.
That's right. That's right. Which, by the way, that's plenty of squirrels, turkeys, even deer.
Mhm.
That's the way I read it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Mhm.
That's what it
You know, that's what it means.
We always said
Yeah.
that means y'all come.
Yeah. Yeah. But we had a dang good crossing. I mean, just going right there, right across the line. And we got to thinking like, man, we know the fella that owns that property. And he lives about 4 states away from us. And he never hunts. And we never see anybody go in there and hunt. I mean, what's wrong with just 30 yards in there? I mean, because there's a thicket right there. I mean, you cross it, you get into the thicket, you move through the thicket about 20 yards, and bam, just the prettiest hardwood bottom with 4 or 5 white oaks. And at the, it's a little bottom, and then about 50 to 60 more yards, it goes up on a little rise, And so we started hunting in there a little bit. Now, we don't go crazy, and we don't just sit there all the time or hang no stands or nothing like that. Well, actually, we did hang a stand. I take it back. We did hang a stand, single man. Yep. And, but we get in there and we hunted it every now and then. Well, one day, I mean, it's real good and cold in there. I mean, it's one of these 25 to 28 degree mornings. And I'm like, I'm getting in there. because it looks like a dadgum cow trail crossing that line. I mean, they're crossing in and out of there. And, we know that they've got to be bedding, real close to that and definitely feeding in there on them acorns. Well, I get in there one day and I'm hunting, and all of a sudden I look up and there's somebody in camouflage with a gun walking that way right there on that rise. They're 50 yards from me. And I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, oh crap, I'm busted. And I'm a kid, mind you. I'm not, I'm not living on my own, because what goes through my head is like,
Daddy's gonna get mad.
No, wasn't Daddy gonna be mad. Daddy's gonna hurt somebody, okay? And that somebody's gonna be me, because if I get in trouble with the law, if he gets called by the law saying Trent's trespassing, all right, I'm gonna feel some pain. And so I'm just sitting there, I'm scared to death, and I'm like, oh, please don't look up, please don't look up, please don't look. About that time, that old boy, he turns and he looks, and he locks eyes with me, and I lock eyes with him, and all I can see is his eyes. He's got on a little face mask and everything, and he's just like a deer, just starts doing that whole thing there, and then he just casually just turns around and walks the way he was going. So
he was slipping too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I don't care. I'm getting down. Yeah. I get down. Weeks go by, and me and boy from church were talking. I said, man, you won't ever believe what happened to me the other day. I think I caught somebody that was also trespassing with me. And he said, dude, I'm not kidding. I think I did too. I said, wait a minute. I said, well, let me tell you my story. And I told him, and I said, yeah, he just looked at me. I said, and this is where the property was. He said, let me stop you right there. Were you in a single man ladder stand about 15 foot off the ground? I said, yep. He said, yeah, I've been hunting there too illegally for about 5 years. He said, that was me.
Right there at the church house.
So we both called each other. We're like, no, never went back in there, took the stand down the next week. I'm like, no, I'm out of here. Like,
I can't believe you put a stand. I mean, you put a stand in there.
Well, it was right. Like I said, it was right off of our land. It was right there. Nobody hunted it. And we're like, man, what are we harming? Don't nobody hunt this thing except other poachers.
Get overpopulated. There's so many things that can happen. What's that, CWD?
I heard tell of this. I don't know, but I heard tell back before for caller ID and all that, when you just had regular phone. There's a guy lived about 2 hours from this property, but he loved to hunt. But this certain bunch would call him at 3 a.m. If he answered the phone, they'd know he wasn't come hunt that morning. They'd go ahead and hunt on his place. I just heard about that.
I was going to say, you heard about that?
I just heard about that.
If he answered the phone, you knew he was in the bed and he wasn't going to be hunting.
Funny the little things we figure out.
That's pretty good.
I'm not one to poach or trespass or anything like that. It just... I can't
anymore.
No.
Me neither anymore.
It's not that the opportunity's not there and the great places. I can't enjoy the hunt because of the deal.
Right.
He knows that.
But
he said,
where are we going with? I don't even know what you're talking about.
You could hear the butt coming.
Well, it's coming. He told me, he said, hey man, I got a little spot down there on the river that we got to go hunt. It's bow season. I said, why hadn't you told me about it before? And he's like, well, it's right on the line, and we don't hunt it a lot, but it's prime right now for us to go. It's right on the river.
Full of live oak acres.
Well, let's go. I said, well, let's go hang a stand and get in there. Well, there's no reason to go hang a stand. We'll just carry our stands in that morning and set up. And I was like, that's weird. Didn't think anything else about it. Well, I get here at daylight, and we go to this spot, and I said, well, we're going to hunt here. He said, no, we're going to go a little further this time. I said, okay. I said, you got property? It goes across the river? Yeah, just a strip on the other side of the river.
A little narrow strip.
Across the side of the river.
Just a little bit.
Well, we're flashlighting in and everything, and he said, all right, I'm going to hunt here. He said, just go 40 more yards down the river and hang your stand. And I was thinking, man, I was looking around at all the white oak trees, and I said, this is going to be great. Well, I go, I hang my stand, I climb up, he climbs up, I can see him over there. And it's getting about that prime time. What you talking about? 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I was like, we fixing to kill one here. Well, I look, and down the river comes a doe, slipping right on the edge of the river. She's coming down my arrow string. And I notice she's feeding along, and she stops and looks backwards. And I said, ooh, maybe a big buck coming behind her. No, here comes a vehicle. Because there's a pasture just outside, just on the other side of that woodline break. Well, here comes a truck. I thought, well, that's funny. Why is a truck coming out here on Shane's property? And then all the little symptoms and little things that he had said started to make sense to me. I said, he has lied to me.
You lied to me, baby.
And we're sitting here on somebody else's property, and I know whose property it was. And I did not want to be on that man's property because I know what kind of person he is. Well, I turn around and I look over there because I can see him. He's 40 yards from me in another white oak tree. And I look at him, and he's over there going, he's scoping his area out real good, trying to make sure there's no deer around him. And I'm just sitting there just staring at him, just burning a hole through him. And he said, just
be cool, man. Be cool. Be cool.
And that would have been fine. But then the truck stops, and the truck is just right here. And then he cuts the truck off.
Have you got orange on?
No.
They totally camouflaged. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, Shane, for some reason, Shane told me to leave my boggin in the truck. I don't know what the deal was.
Yeah.
Well, he gets out, and then he starts walking in the woods. And I said, this is it.
Going to jail.
This is it. I mean, I don't think this guy, he wouldn't have called the law. He would have just handled it right there. I felt like the first time I was a squirrel on the squirrel hunt. Kind of situation. But he walks into the woods and walks around just a little bit, and the whole time my heart's just and he looks around, goes back, gets in his truck, and drives off. I couldn't get out of that tree fast enough.
Yeah, I'd love to film you coming down.
I got out of that tree. I threw that says a summit tree sat on my back, and I went right to the bottom of his tree. And I don't talk like that anymore, but I had a little sermon I wanted to preach to Shane about how I felt about that. And I said, you told me this was your property. He's like, well, I mean, it's close. I said, yeah, it's close. Line. It's on the other side of the river. You know, once we crossed the water, we were absolutely not on his property. I was so mad at him that day.
Navigable waterways. I thought that was always huntable. Navigable waterways.
I got one. We were duck hunting. All right. Because, you know, when it comes to water and stuff like that, you can't own water and all that kind of stuff and all that mess. And buddy of mine, I'll say his name's David. All right. For the storyteller.
I like David.
All right. So it was me and David and a couple other buddies. And we're down hunting on a big piece of public ground, or that's where we're supposed to go. He calls me and he says, "Hey, we're going duck hunting tomorrow. We got a bunch of birds down there. You want to go with us?" I'm like, man, yeah. And I've been with him several times. Really good friend of mine. And we get down there, and we're coming in. You know, duck hunting, you got to get in there real early, because you got to have time to set up the decoys and all that kind of mess and everything. But I noticed as we're going through the trees, I was like, did I see a sign on a tree back there? I was like, and then I go up again, and there we go up, keep going up, and posted. And I'm like, David, are we still on the WMA? Oh, yeah. It's all that on the left right there. Everything right here, all this, we good. Let's go. So we get to our spot, and ducks are everywhere, man. I mean, they are just pouring into the hole. They're just doing what you want them to do on a good duck hunt, you know. And we get done. And as soon as we pack up the decoys and walk out, we've taken about 4 steps, and I look to my left, And out there about 80 yards is about a $4,000 shooting house facing the hole. And I said, David, did you know that there's a shoot house right there? You sure this is WMA? Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure the Corps of Engineers put that there. You know, that's yeah. Oh yeah, they put that up there. Don't worry about that. But since we're talking about it, let's just go ahead and hot foot it back to the boat and go ahead and get these ducks taken care of.
Get this out of here.
Yeah, he was one of those Shane friends right there. It's like, well, it's close, you know.
Yeah,
it's
Get
close
that narrow
to,
strip.
Yeah.
Little narrow strip.
yeah.
Let me tell you a little precursor to this. Philip didn't talk about my brother was hunting actually on the other side of the river that day.
Mm-hmm.
And he climbed up on that side. That's why we had to go to the other side. You know, you got to spread out a little bit. He was hunting that morning, and Philip, we were kind of making like a little triangle. He was between Philip and I, but across the river.
On their property.
On the good side.
On the good side. We were on the dark side. He was on the good
legal
side.
Oh, yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And I hear some splashing. And, you know, it's getting time to start seeing deer. And I look, and there's 3 or 4 does coming across the river, splashing across the river.
Right to us.
Headed our way. I said, well, we're going to get one this morning. I see my brother perk up. He's looking over because we, again, you know, just across the river, you can see. And I see him perk up and I hear him go. I was like, what is he doing? He starts whistling. I said, this man has lost his ever-loving mind. What is he doing whistling at the deer? Those deer stop mid-river and turn around like they had been called like a dog. Turned right back around, went right back and got out where they went in. And they walked right to him and he smoked one of the
True story.
He whistled him up.
Whistled
Whistled
the deer
him up.
right back to him.
Ain't never seen it in my life. I have no idea why it worked that way. He sure did. And so after Philip gave me my good chewing for being on the wrong side, we went back across the river. We go over there and we talk. I said, "Did you whistle at those deer?" He said, "Yeah, I whistled at them." I said, "Why?" He said, "I didn't want y'all to kill them."
Golly.
So he was really trying to scare them away from us. And then
They came right back. You know, because they felt safe. They probably walked right by him. He never saw them.
Yeah.
And they were
probably
just
asleep.
backtracking
Yeah.
where they were. But I knew I couldn't see where he was at. But when I saw him go out of the river and back up the bank, and it wasn't 5 more seconds. Thwack! And I said, "They ain't no way that just happened." Sure enough, it did. And he actually hit. It was a full.
Yep. Whistled them up.
And I was happy to get back across the river.
Yeah.
Well, I've got just a couple of those stories just outlawing, but honestly, I've only gotten 1 ticket in my life from the Game and Fish, and I was 100% legal.
Me too.
I was 100% legal. We were duck hunting, and we were in the Delta, and I was just fresh out of the Marine Corps. So all my outlawing days were pre-Marine Corps, and
You're reformed in there.
that's right. That's right. My good buddy, who's a game warden now, got me out of that. He was a duck hunter and or is a duck hunter. He's been a game warden for 3 or 4 years now, and the really good Christian man, Bradley Starling. I'll name drop him. He first duck hunt I went on, we had those ducks at about 5 teal start pouring into the hole, and he hears click, me clicking that safety off, and he's like, "Trent, what are you doing?" I said, "If I have
We duck hunting.
I said, I ain't bring no
What in the
camera to
world
take
you thinking,
pictures, bro.
bro?
I was like, he's like, "Nope, we were waiting until 5. I don't care if all these ducks fly off. We're doing it right." And so right after I get out of the Marine Corps, back up a little bit, right after I get out of the Marine Corps, I hadn't bought duck stamps in 4 years. And I go to Walmart and I say, "I need my duck stamps." Because normally that's what I did growing up. I need my stamps, and they'd give you everything. And so I get them. We go on a hunt, and we get out there and man, we're shooting the mess out of them. I mean, it's me and two other buddies, and we 3-man limit. We just had the time of our lives. Well, federal game warden comes up, and most people when they say green jeans, they're like, "Oh no." I'm like this today. Like, okay, I know I'm legal. Like, if I'm not, it's complete innocence, ignorance. And I do the very best now that I film. Mm-hmm. I'm on top of my stuff. Like, I'm researching and doing all that kind of stuff to make sure, that I'm 100% legal. And I'm like, well, I'm I got my ducks. I'm got plug in my gun, steel shot, got my stamps. I'm good. And we get back there and he's checking us and everything. Well, he's taking my buddy's gun away. All right. he ain't got a plug in his gun.
It's a bad day.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, it sucks to be you, and he's like, well, can you hand me your license and stamps and everything? I said, yes, sir. So I get it out and he looks at it and he goes, you got your state stamp on you? And I said, I just got this from Walmart 2 days ago. Like, everything I got's right there. He said, well, you're missing your state stamp, son. And I said, well, everything I got's right there. Well, that darn stamp was in my wallet.
Oh.
I thought it was expired. I thought it was a different orange WMA card or whatever, license receipt card. I thought it was expired. It wasn't. That was it. Because fast forward, he gave me a ticket. Fast forward, I tell this story to my buddies, like that Monday at college and at ICC. And my buddy Mason, he's like, you bought your stamps at Walmart and you still they didn't get you everything? He said, bring your wallet out. Let me see what you got. And I'm like, here, this is everything right here. And he looks at it for about 30 seconds and he goes, here's your state stamp right here. But I had already, because we were hunting like 3 hours away from home, as soon as he wrote me the ticket, I called the courthouse, paid the ticket. It's $267. He took my ducks away, everything. I had killed a speckle-bellied goose, and that was, at that time, I think it still is, but at that time, it's like, oh, you killed a speck?
Yeah.
But yeah, took that away, and I'd already paid the ticket, and he's like, oh yeah, there's your state stamp right there.
Right there.
I'm like...
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. But I thought, he ran my driver's license. He knew. He knew. Mm-hmm. He just thought, hey, I got this boy right here. He's gonna pay. He's gonna pay because he's 3 hours north of here. He ain't
and I got a speckle belly.
And I get to eat speck.
That's right. I got to eat speck.
I got a joke for y'all. I saw a good friend of mine. He had a bad burn on his face. His whole side of his head would just burn up. I said, man, what happened to you? He said, man, I was ironing the other day and phone rang. I got confused and stuck his iron up to my face. I said, what happened to the other side? He said, that fella called back.
Got more than confused.
Got confused twice, didn't he?
Yeah.
I have a cousin, and she was probably 7 or 8. And when she was 7 or 8, she had a pretty good speech impediment. But I was driving down the road and I saw a Walkman CD player. And this was about 2012. So, man, this was an antique, it was brand new in the package. I hadn't seen one of those in years. She loved to sing as a kid, loved to sing anything. And she had been playing some CDs like Kids Bop or something. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. And so she was getting tired. I was actually getting tired of hearing them is what it was. Cause she'd come stay at the house from time to time. I was like, she needs to get another CD. I found this Walkman CD player. I said, this is a match made in heaven.
Manna.
This had to be from the Lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had to be. So I brought it home to her and I said, hey, found this for you. Now you can go. You don't have to stay here in the house and listen to CDs. You can go anywhere you want to. You walk all around the yard. It's portable, got batteries. You just go listen to whatever you want to listen to. Man, she was excited. Eyes lit up. This is the best present you've ever got me. Man, she was happy. She said, well, I got CDs. I said, I've got some. I had some that I hadn't played in years. They were up in the top of the closet, and I got it down, in those old fold-out CD holders. And I went to looking through there, and of course I had Breaking Benjamin and a bunch of those. I was like, she can't listen to that. She can't listen to that. Well, there's just some alternative rock. That's what we listened to when we was in high school.
So Ben was broke. What now? What'd you say now? You help that fella out?
Well, he needs some hope.
Yeah, he needed a lot of hope. So I said, well, she can't listen to that. Well, I flipped on over where's Alan Jackson's Greatest Hits. And I said, can't be nothing better than that. So I said, here's one for you to listen to. She put it in there, and she took off, was going around the yard and listen. Well, a couple of days went by, and I went outside, and she's singing to the top of her lungs. And I thought, man, she's really enjoying that CD player, and I'm glad she is, and I wanted to walk over and see what she was singing. She was walking around. She had her eyes closed. She said, Grunk man in cowboy hat took me by surprise. And I thought, of all the songs of Alan Jackson, you're singing Midnight in Montgomery?
Oh, yeah.
Grunk man in a cowboy. And I was like, her mama is going to kill me for this.
What?
I will never forget that.
I'm just glad you didn't give her that PCB Mix 03.
Oh, man.
One of those.
Yeah, I did
One
not.
of those burnt.
The burnt CDs.
Napster, not Napster. What was it? LimeWire.
Hey,
Virus Wire.
I've ruined a couple of family computers on that software.
LimeWire.
I had one where you talk about that. My mother, when
Is this any kin to Willie and Waylon?
LimeWire.
You can get Willie and Waylon on LimeWire.
What I'm about to tell ain't. They the opposite end. But that right there, that's actually my favorite too. Willie and Waylon.
Willie and
Or
Waylon.
excuse me, no, it's Waylon and Merle. That's Waylon and Merle. That's my go-to.
That's
right
go-to.
there. That's it. But no, I had I would always use the only computer we had in the house, which was just a regular PC, and would have LimeWire on there. You download music and put it on my little iPod. And I remember I downloaded, I was about 8th grade, and I started listening to that old rap music.
Mm-hmm.
And Lil Wayne, I know y'all have heard of him.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Hey, not Lil Wayne that owns a country store down
Yeah,
there.
we stopped at Wayne's country store.
This one's
Different
different.
I didn't know
Wayne.
he was a rapper.
He's a rapper.
He didn't look like a rapper.
Yeah, no. But back then, I think this was 2000. I was in 7th or 8th. It was 2007 or 8 when the song come out. Josh, you gonna know this. It's called Lollipop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, I miss a lot of
You didn't miss anything.
It's not a sweet song by any means.
No.
And but that's what was famous then, and that's what was going around. And I downloaded it and I was listening to it. Well, my mama to this day is a saint of a woman. I think I've heard her cuss 2 or 3 times. And they ain't never been a bad one. You know what I mean? And they were all directed towards me or something that I had done. And but I'm talking about a saint of a woman. She'll have a huge mansion in heaven. I'm gonna be living in a single wide. There's no doubt. Or I may live under the lean-to under somebody's
Go
single
visit
wide.
Mama's every now and
You
then.
come
I'm gonna
down
go
to
to
the
Mama's
bridge.
house.
That's where I'll be.
That's right.
Under that.
Yep. And she pulls up and picks me up at football practice one day. And she hands me a sheet of copy paper. And she said, if you would, do me a favor. She said, read that right there. And I looked at it, and it just had a bunch of words on it. At the top, it said, Lyrics of Lollipop by Lil Wayne.
Me.
And I was like, oh, crap. I said, Mama, I'm sorry. She said, nope, be quiet. Just all I want you to do is read the lyrics right there, Trent. Read those lyrics, and let's see if we can glorify Jesus in reading these lyrics. So, So I had to read.
Did she make you read them out loud?
Dude, I made it through like 4 lines. I'm like, Mama, you can whoop me, you can hit me. Yeah. I can't read. And she's like, you listen to that mess? You listen to that filth? I'm like, yeah, but it's catchy. And she's like, continue on. Just keep reading.
Keep on reading.
I can't do it, Mama. But yeah, that was
my mom had an incident like that at the church one day. We were at church, and why my mom decided to ask this question while we were at church, I have no idea. But she's similar to your mom, saint of a woman, and innocent in most of her thinking. Little John had a song, and in that song, he made mention. Yeah, what? It had something to do from the windows and the walls.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
And when you say, "Oh,
I'm lost,"
yeah,
we have left the reservation.
Yeah, you just enjoy the storytelling over
Mr.
here,
Robbins,
Robert.
I know Wayne and John. Ain't neither one of them said nothing to me about.
And the ones I know ain't little.
Yeah. He's 300 pounds. He's tiny John, but not little John. Yeah.
And so my mom was standing there. We're standing there with the preacher's wife, my wife, and my brother. And my mom says, "What is mean?" And I said,
The next line of that song?
"Yes." And I just stared at her, and I looked at my brother, and he said, "This is you. This is not me." And I said, "Mama, I'm going to walk away, and you and Miss Nisi can have this conversation." And she said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I'm not answering it, and I don't want to be anywhere close to it when you do get the definition of what that means."
I thought it was self-explanatory, like on surface level.
You would think, but... And she said, "What? I'm just wanting." And I said, "I'm not answering the question." And Miss Nisi just, of course, just like, "I can't. I got to go." And I said, but to this day, I'm not sure she ever got a definition, but she did not get it from me.
She won't get one from me.
No.
My wife had a similar experience to Trent, but it went a little different. You know, when you start driving, you feel like that your vehicle's yours.
Yeah.
It's your property to do with it. But well, the burnt music, downloaded music was huge for everybody. When my wife was a freshman in college, she went to the University of Alabama.
Yeah.
And she came home for the weekend and left her CD in the player with the radio up as she exited the car, not thinking that anybody would be getting in the car following besides herself. Well, unbeknownst to her, her car was in a bad position in the driveway and needed to be moved. Well, her dad wasn't going to interrupt her to go tell her to move the car, so he just got her keys and went and sat down in the car. Keys in the ignition, turned it over. Well, you know, the radio is immediate, and it just returns to the level that it was on, and it was one of these similar songs of the rap genre. Well, he didn't come in. He didn't print out the lyrics. He didn't do any of that. She didn't even know that he had been in the car, except for when she got in the car, the radio wasn't on.
That's
So,
odd.
well, why is the radio not on? I know it was on when I left. Well, in the seat, or really right there by where the radio was the CD that used to be playing in 2 pieces. Laying right there. So
Good move, Dad.
So she didn't need the lyrics. She didn't need anything else or even the conversation with her dad.
Explanation.
The message was right there in 2 pieces.
Very
in the
loud and
car.
clear.
Oh, that'd been a terrifying moment. That would have been
Because you don't know what really was
Oh, yeah.
going through his head. Or
Yeah.
what
Well,
he was
some
saying.
things are so innocent. Like I was announcing a high school baseball game, and they were playing this song, and a kid said, "Cut it off, cut it off, cut it off." And he told another kid that, and I sitting over there, and he said, "Superman."
that.
And then they told me what it was. I said, "Lord have mercy."
Lord have mercy.
That's what they were playing at the baseball game over the loudspeaker?
Until I got to that CD and did the same thing your dad-in-law did.
Oh, so funny. I bet Rob was like, "Yeah, Superman."
Yeah. I remember watching that as a kid.
Second.
Is that the one at the whale, or what is he talking about? Wait a minute. Hold up.
That's the kryptonite feller.
That's right.
Oh, good.
You don't think
Golly.
much about it, but I can remember. Now things have changed a lot since we graduated. I graduated 2000, 2001, and that was just when we had the ability to play the songs before the basketball games over the speaker. And I remember they said, "Hey, y'all pick us a good song."
Oh, yeah.
We were like,
picked a
"Oh
good
yeah,
one.
we're gonna pick us a good one.
Yeah.
We need something, strong,
Catchy.
good beat, whatever." So we settled on Metallica,
Oh, yes.
"Whiskey in a Jarro."
Mhm.
Well, that's controversial.
So in the land of the Baptists, everybody comes to watch their Baptist boys play basketball, and we got Metallica up there jamming "Whiskey in a Jarro." And I remember I was in the agreeing party that's what we should play, but I remember out there in warm-ups that day, I couldn't even think about the layups or the little drills. I was just thinking that was a bad decision.
That's the best thing to do is go to a home basketball game like at Mantachi when I was growing up. And they started putting in some rap music into the walkout stuff. And the best thing to do is just sit back and just look at the rest of the crowd and all of the older men that have those trucker caps on like that. And they just sit like this right here the whole time. As soon as they're just going up there and everybody's getting hyped and everything, you just see about 15 old men just sitting there just.
You know what you call that? Communicating clearly with the nonverbal.
That's right. That's right. That's displaying disappointment pretty loudly right there.
Music is just one of those things.
Yeah, buddy.
It's just hard to manage it.
It's hard to manage it, and it's hard to find songs like that that's going to pass through all generations. There's going to be one generation or another that's like, I don't know what this is.
That's that junk.
That junk. I'm to that point now in my life where there's some stuff come on the radio. I was like, this is garbage. Like, I can't believe this is even on the radio. But these next generation just eating it up.
My great grandmother, she would only listen to gospel. Only listen to gospel. But if Conway Twitty popped up on Kudzu 104.9, you better not touch that radio.
Turn that up, won't she?
We won't listen to that.
We're going to listen to Conway. He's a believer. He was saved a long time ago, and he's been ordained by Jesus Christ. Okay? Conway is the exception. That was her exception.
Sit there and listen to
Well,
it.
my exception is I think you and I may have the same problem, Trent. If it's got a good beat,
Yeah.
I'll tolerate it. I'm like, man, it's got a good beat. But the problem is I stop there. And I won't listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, that song's playing. And somebody says, "What are you listening to that for?" I mean, yeah, I know. It's got a great beat, doesn't it? Like, have you listened to the words of the song? I'm like, no, I ain't paid no attention to it. Or whatever. Well, why don't you the next time it comes on, listen to the words to it and see if you like that song as much? And then I'll listen to the words and I'm like,
The best thing to do is watch videos on Facebook of people that do that sing specials on Sunday, and they don't know the way. Josh over there like, oh, that is the best when you find somebody that's picked a song that's got a good rhythm and it sounds real good, and they start singing, and you're like, wait a minute, what'd they just say?
There's a
you can see the crowd. They're like,
what is it?
What's going? Wait, did he just say that? And they're just steadily up there thinking they're praising Jesus and
not.
they summoning demons over there.
Yeah, conjuring them up.
There is a gospel song that came out a few years ago that it wasn't a bad as far as the words go. You wouldn't have been like, oh my goodness, can't believe they're singing that. But it's a very popular group or artist. And as he's singing, I heard it come on the radio. And I was like, what is this guy singing about? And I got to listen to the words, and he is singing about the front door of his refrigerator. I'm like, just because you call it gospel and you say Jesus in it doesn't mean it's really a good song, right? I mean, all he's singing is about the front door of his refrigerator. I was like, man, how is this even possible?
And he got a refrigerator with a back door.
No.
I didn't think it had nothing but a front door.
He got y'all down with Shane.
Yeah, that's true. If he's going to sing about a door on the refrigerator, it would have to be the front door.
On Wednesday nights, I had the great idea because, Wednesday night church is different than Sunday night church. It's just usually laid back, casual. People been at work all day, all those things. Well, I had the idea. I said, you know what I want? I want some feedback as part of the service so that people could ask questions, after we go over the text or whatever. And I said, this is going to be a good idea. Well, we had a gentleman start visiting whom I didn't know and nobody knew. And I didn't think anything about that. Well, it's fine. Well, I was in Proverbs, and I had really thought that I had studied and thought through this text, and that it was really God glorifying, and it was about Jesus and God's power and all those things. But it was about money. But it was about how God charges you to be good stewards of money. Well, I was firing it up, and I was preaching that text and talking about how good God was and how he blesses us and how we should use his money well and all those things. And I was so proud when I was done, and I was looking forward to the feedback and the praise. Yeah, that's right, brother. Amen. Yeah, we agree. God's good. He's blessed us and all those things. And I stopped and I said, does anybody have anything that they'd like to say about that? Well, I barely got my request out.
How much we're paying you?
No, it was not nobody. It was not a hand raise. It was a stand up. And for the next 3 to 5 minutes, I was chastised and berated of how I had just told everybody that God only wants to give you money, and basically had preached the prosperity gospel. And then on top of everything, I didn't even get to defend myself. He just walked out.
Mic drops.
Mic dropped as soon as he was finished saying his piece on that. He just walked out, and I hadn't been preaching long. I had just taken the pastor role, and I'm standing there, looked like I'd just seen a ghost. And I'm looking around. There's nothing you can do. Everybody is silent. Like, there's no more feedback. Nobody wants to give feedback, and everybody's like trying not to make it awkward, but everybody's looking at the person sitting beside them like, what just happened? And they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and let's pray. And I there's nothing else you can do.
Let's go and close
I'm going to pray
out.
this one out, and we're going to be done. That was, how many times I got feedback after that? I had feedback services.
No.
I was going to say, might not have asked for it next
That was
time.
the last one.
I'll tell you something, Brother Sonny Atkins, who's gone on to be the Lord, has told me when I was getting started. He said, son, we'll start you out in the nursing home. That way you can't do much damage.
Is that what he did?
Yeah. Yeah, I started out in the nursing home. And you can't do a whole lot of damage in a nursing home preaching.
Maybe I should have started in the nursing home.
You definitely know your crowd.
Well, you can definitely ask for feedback and not worry about it.
Because they ain't heard a word you said anyway. They went sound asleep immediately.
I got one. I remember it now.
I got one.
Brother Lynn Rodray and I used to preach at the Brantley Center down in New Orleans. Now, the Brantley Center was a homeless shelter down in the French Quarter. You can imagine our clientele. If you listen to the sermon, you got to get a glass of orange juice and a peanut butter sandwich. That's the only requirement, that you listen to the sermon. Well, we didn't have no pianist, and we had 1 week I'd preach and Brother Lynn lead the music. And Lynn Rodray is a Cajun through and through. He's from White Castle, Louisiana, which is below Thibodaux. And he played football and baseball at LSU. Cajun to the core. We go fishing. He said, Robin, throw it over there. And then we'd leave, and we'd ride in the boat more than we fish. But Lynn Rodray loved the Lord, and he was a Cajun. And he'd get up there, and you ain't worship until you get there with all them high drunk homeless folks listen to Lynn Rodray lead the singing without accompanist. He say, him 403, 403, y'all ready? Y'all ready? What a friend we have in Jesus. He had that lasso roping. There's my ride.
Tree. There's my ride.
Yeah. I don't know how much good we did, but I don't think we did any damage.
Him 403.
403.
Well, you talk about, getting the feedback and everything and those awkward moments in church. I really just wish I could be a part of that once a week, just because church is
You
every
ain't
time.
no pastor then.
No, sir. I've never been
once
called
a
to
lifetime
minister.
will do you on that.
Yeah, I want to be a spectator. I want to be the spectator in the crowd. I just want to go to all the business meetings in the Southern Baptist Convention in my area, because in church, you go and it's just everybody is relaxed and everybody is peaceful, and we're all trying to do better. We all know that we're sinners. But when you have a church that brings up, what about if we were to introduce the guitar and the drums? And what about that? Then we start talking about the second service.
Oh.
That right there. Long story short, I seen an old lady fake pass out in the middle of a business meeting to get it canceled.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Look, it started
When are you
out.
doing it?
It started out. I mean, the whole business meeting was peaceful, and there's like, all right, we got one more thing, a new business here.
I'm feeling woozy just you talking about it. I'm about to go.
we had started this church, doing like half and half. You'd do a hymn, and then they would do a contemporary worship song. All right. And my daddy, I'm going to tell you, if you want somebody to talk about worship song, he's a great godly man. But if you sing the same chorus 5 or 6 times, he is no longer walking in the spirit. You hear what I'm telling you?
He gets a little
and
fleshly,
there's a lot of folks like that. And
you're looking at one, Trent.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, God knows he's heard it 4 times. Let's go ahead and have this prayer and sit on down and hear what you got to say. But anyway, they had said, all right, well, we're going to bring up some new business here. And we're throwing around having a second service and having a traditional and a contemporary, and that whole thing about not, raising, just standing up. I mean, there are people standing up that don't ever say anything. And you're talking about splitting the church right now. This is ungodly. Like, this is insane. And then you got people talking about, we ain't a bunch of rock stars up here, and then it's like, well, we need to adapt and stay with the times. And all of a sudden I'm like, in this church, there's 3 rows of pews, and this lady was kind of towards the back. All right. I did a video on breaking down church pews about a week ago. Y'all, that can kind of give you. She's towards the back, but so were we. And I was on the left side.
That's how you saw her.
That's right. That's right. I just looked over because as this was all going on, everybody hears, "Whoa!" and she flails and flops, and she goes out and she just sits there like this.
She did the LeBron in church.
Oh, dude, I'm talking about she flopped just like a professional soccer player. And the men beside her, like, literally carried her out. And she was just like this, being carried out by under her arms and her feet. And that's what concluded the business meeting, because when everybody realized, like, all right, she's okay, and finally the pastor come back. Well, he left about 6 months after that, but the pastor come back up there and he's like, all right, folks, I believe this is a good stopping point right here.
That's a great point.
Can I get a motion to end business meeting? Got a motion? Got a second? We're going to pray.
We're adjourned.
Hey,
all the kids were just sitting there like, what's going on next? Like, when's the next business meeting?
When's the next? Is it next month?
Yeah, we'll be here. Yeah. So, yeah.
Most well-attended business meeting y'all ever had was the next month. Like, if that's what it's about, I'm coming back.
I'll be back.
Oh, I was there. we were there and we were ready for whatever happens.
Yeah, that's usually low attendance Wednesday. If you don't publish business meeting, you don't have anybody there.
Yeah.
You can't even get a query or whatever you call it. Is it
Quorum.
What?
Quorum.
Quorum?
Quorum.
We're in
yeah.
the South. Just vowel it, sound it
Quorum.
out. And you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quorum.
Quorum. Yeah.
Well, if this is, since we're in the church, I think now would be a good time to do our scripture time.
Well, get on out.
All right, y'all. I'm finna head out real quick.
Well, and then we'll do the business meeting after that. So let's go to the book of Ephesians. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 2, 19 through 22. So now you Gentiles are no longer strangers and foreigners. You are citizens along with all of God's holy people. You are members of God's family. Together we are his house, built on the foundation of the apostles and the prophets, and the cornerstone is Christ Jesus himself. We're carefully joined together in him, becoming a holy temple for the Lord. Through him, you Gentiles are also being made part of this dwelling where God lives by his Spirit. Shane and I talked about this. The funny thing is this is my text for what will be this Sunday. It was his text for last Wednesday night. So he called me on his way to work yesterday morning. He said, I want to talk to you about a text. And I said, what text is it? And that was the text that I was actively studying to prepare for the sermon for this Sunday. So we got to talking about it. And the beautiful part about this is, and kind of one of the things is, we like to say this church and this church and this church. Like right now we have 4 churches that we go to. But what Paul is comforting the Gentiles to say is, no, we are the church. It's one church and we are the church as a body of believers in the Lord Jesus Christ. And what I love here is that you're not strangers, you're not foreigners. And see, y'all are strangers in Hayden today. And it's easy to do that when you're not from town or what if you're not part of the group. But as Christians, I think we fail to try to segregate or to divide any believer from other believers because we're all part of him. We're all built upon the same cornerstone that is Jesus Christ. And if we're going to do some work for the kingdom and build for the kingdom, that's the mindset we have to have. If we continue to try to be segregated in this one and that building, we'll always be less effective. And like we had a lady reach out through an email this week and said, hey, we're going to be doing some traveling. We'd like to come to Hayden. And if we're there on a Sunday, we want to come to church with you and Shane. I said, I would love for you to come to my church. Shane would love for you to come to his church. Here's how you can find both of them. I'm not going to say, well, you need to come to my church.
I just told her she had to be ready for pew walking if she comes to my church. So.
Pew walking.
That's a whole other subject. And we can go there.
Like, what are y'all doing here?
Baptist.
Yeah, like you may get slapped. If the preacher gets really excited, he may just come up
now,
and
Johnny Allred ain't gonna slap
no,
nobody.
not Brother Johnny.
I will definitely sit in the back if I ever visit with y'all.
No, you
maybe he gets
front.
tired by the time
I'm
he
not
gets
a front row Baptist, brother.
You're gonna lead singing with me, brother.
But all in all, if we're built upon Jesus Christ, we need to be working together, united for his kingdom, for his glory, and that's the only way we're ever going to do it.
Amen.
Yep.
Guess what's last?
It's a good thing we can laugh a little on the way.
You got to.
You got to.
And blink every now and then.
Yeah. All you bad commenters, what?
Yeah, watch this. Watch it. There it is.
You're not touching it fully. It's hesitating once it gets about halfway.
Close it all the way. Hey, tell him what. Now you did it.
There we go.
Tell him what your wife did. They about made his wife lose her religion.
She done got in the flesh.
She done got
On in that comment section.
She fleshed out on some of y'all, didn't she? Yeah. You scared that keyboard now, ain't you?
That thing was smoking by the time she got done with it.
She done dropped down in the Shoba County English.
That everybody understands.
That's
No
right.
matter if you're from there or not. Well, let's play the word game real quick. Play the word game, make a sentence. You get one word, and we go until we have a period or a mess up. Shane usually is the mess up.
What is this?
Say, Trent.
I'm from Manatee, Mississippi. You talking about playing
Word
a
games.
grammatical game? Is
Yeah.
that even a sentence?
We're going to
Complete
try to
sentence
make
right
a sentence.
Can't even do it.
Yeah, so you get a word. You'll start at the first round. He'll start the second round. We'll do 2 rounds. So you start it. You just one word. He'll go a word. I go a word. He goes a word. Usually it produces some humor because it's hard to come up with a word real quick. You've got 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
You fail. Yeah. And we'll go until, again.
And it has to make sense.
No.
Or you can just say any word.
I mean, it's just got to be able to, if we were to write it down and somebody would read it, be like, oh, okay.
Who come up with this game?
Philip did. I don't know where he came up with it.
So
That's a Christian game. That's a Christian game, right? Let's play the word game. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's all we are here, a bunch of kids. So.
Yeah, we're adults and only physically.
All right. So you want me to start it?
Are you ready, Brother Robin?
Yeah,
I get
I'm
stretched
ready.
out here.
And again, to end it, period, or you failed the 2 seconds.
Oh, so you can end it by just saying period, like
If
ending.
it makes sense.
Zebras.
Or
The
Worst
Thing
two
catch,
if
you
can't.
bind. Got him. There's round one. There's round one. I love it. He hates the game because he loses 9 out of 10 times.
Well, I'm just glad that you lost, not me, because
Not
I was
you.
for sure.
Did your heart
like,
rate is it increasing with each one?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of ready to go now.
bind.
I'm competitive here. I'm bound down.
He bind down on there.
He's like,
Brother Robin, you get to start the second and final round.
A
Boy,
Did.
not.
have
the
Whoa. God.
2 in a row, man. He's horrible. He's
Wait,
so
Shane,
bad.
I thought you were out.
No, I could. I'm out. He wants me to stay in because I lose every round.
Well, Shane, you were faithful.
Yeah.
And
Old trusty here.
but you know, we got to keep playing the game until I did give you a way out. And you just haven't come up with another game.
I got to come up with another game. I get Trent. Trent's got a mastermind. He's a mastermind. I'll get him to come up with a good game we can play.
And speaking of Trent, I know that you guys have enjoyed him being here. I know we have. And this doesn't have to be the end of the road for Trent. He's got all kinds of ways that you can follow him on social media. I'm going to turn it over to him. How can people connect with you out there?
Pretty much just all the same regular platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Everything is Trent Ellis. The only thing that's not my name is Instagram, which is Trent_Ellis21. But everything, all my comedy shorts is going to be on every platform, unless it has a firearm in it, and then it won't be on TikTok. It'll be on everything else. And then I have some long form stuff that I do, you know, outdoors, hunting, shooting, all that stuff that I upload on YouTube. So that's pretty much it, man.
Well, you're hilarious, and it's so relatable. I mean, every time I watch one, I'm like, golly, we're just different, same people, different places.
I told him before, I said, I don't know. I've never met your daddy, but I think I know him. He said, really? And I said, yeah, because his brother lives up here on the hill. His dad and my dad have got a lot of the same mannerisms and thought processes.
Yeah, you told me the story about having to do the rip wrap and everything.
Rip wrap by hand.
Yeah, my dad was one of those that he's not an allowance dad. You don't get an allowance. You know, it's just like
you got the Leo.
Yeah, exactly.
to
Exactly.
survive.
Yeah, I've got a roof over your head. You got clothes on your back. Your belly's full. That's good enough.
That's good enough.
You're living in
That's
my
good
house.
enough.
You ain't no carpenter.
That's what
Yeah.
Shane said last night. We were putting some rails on it. I may be going to ruin this story. It's a good story, but we're sitting there building those rails, and it's 9 o'clock, and it's freezing to death out there. And Shane said something. He said, "You ain't no carpenter." And I said, dude, you sound just like your daddy when you said that. I mean, it was hilarious. So, like, when you go in character about your dad, you pull your glasses down and start doing the voice. I was like, man, I feel like I know your dad.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and there's a lot of folks like that, and that have dads like that, especially around here. I've got one last story that I want to tell about my father that would kind of summarize what I just talked about. Roof over your head.
Well, before you do that, let me say this.
Okay.
You guys got your dads. Cherish them.
Amen.
That's right.
Mine's been gone about 2 years. I still pick up the phone to call him. And he was a football coach and a drill instructor and all this. But he loves his boy.
Wise
a good
words.
word.
That's it. Yep. That is it. That's one thing. I don't know what I'd do if he were to pass right now. Every time I come up with something, or not come up with something, but every time, I get in a hairy situation or I got a question to ask or anything like that, he's the first one that I go to. But yeah, well, my father growing up, he was very traditional, very old fashioned. He'd tell you once and that was it, but I say all that, my daddy was very, and still is very, very loving. He's a typical granddaddy to where my son and my two nephews can't do no wrong. And you best not talk about whooping them in front of him. All right. There ain't going to be no corporal punishment while Mamie and Pop's at the house, because he'll be doing the whooping at that point and it'll be on you. So amazing grandfather, amazing dad. But it was so funny looking back now. The first truck that I had, I bought from my brother. My brother's 6 years older, and I bought it from him. It was an 81 Chevy Scottsdale.
Square body.
Love that truck.
Hot water 6.
Sounds right. All right. I don't know nothing about them. I just know that I had pipes going out the side of it and a Summit sticker on the back of it, and I was ready to go, And so anyway, first year that I've got it, I'm 15 years old, and my insurance is $250 for the entire year. That's pretty cheap. Now, it is liability, but that's cheap for a 15-year-old kid. And I thought about it, and I was like, dang, I'm hearing, some of my other buddies talking about what their parents pay. No, my daddy, we paid for our own vehicles and paid for the insurance and paid for the gas. He said, son, I rode the school bus from the first day of school to my last day of school as a senior. If you can't save up the money and do it, if you're going to spend everything you make, you can ride that yellow school bus too. So, and of course we were fortunate because he had a store that we could work at and throughout the summer and stuff like that. But anyway, so they're telling me their rates that their parents are paying and everything like that. And I'm like, dadgum, that's high. Like, I know they got a newer vehicle than I do and stuff, but man, they are paying a lot more money than I am a year. And I asked my daddy about it one day, and he said, yeah. He said, you know what? I need to look at that. And he got online and he looked at it and he said, well, son of a gun. He said, you ain't even on the insurance. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm the primary driver and I ain't got a secondary, so you just paying for me to drive the truck. And I'm like, well, Daddy, so are you going to pay that money back to me? And he said, son, look at this house. Look around. Yeah, I've been paying it back to you for 15 years. All right. This is a good down payment for you. All right. Just to say thank you for your daddy. So that was pretty much
right
it.
Up there.
I paid for my dad to drive it for a year, but yeah.
Well, it's kind of
no refund.
Oh, no. He had been, he made it clear, like, look around you, son. All right.
You've been paid back.
Yeah. You think this is free?
He paid it forward is what he did.
Yeah. Should stick you outside in the shed. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Golly. Well, Robin and Trent, thank you. Y'all both made a sacrifice to come out here today, and Shane and I are very appreciative, and we've had a lot of fun.
Thank y'all. I have
Thank
thoroughly
y'all.
enjoyed
Thank
it.
you from the bottom of my heart.
We've tried to warm you up a little bit, but
Man, hypothermia so we can sit in any minute, man.
We better get Robin out of here before he freezes to death.
Hey, if we do ride down the road and shoot anything off these folks' fields, we got a place to hang it.
We'll warm up coming and get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it today here at the Hayden Alabama Podcast. I'm Phillip.
I'm Shane.
I'm Robin.
I'm Trent.
We'll see you guys next week.